Hello, welcome back to the first module of Get a Healthy, Wealthy Mindset. And this time I'm coming to you in a video. I like to mix it up. I realize people learn and absorb things in different ways. Some like audio, some like video, some like written. So I try to give you a combination of those in my programs. So what we're going to talk about in this video, and I mentioned in the last audio, is a paycheck mentality, avoiding a paycheck mentality, overcoming a paycheck mentality. And what exactly is a paycheck mentality? Well, I am really glad you asked. And one of the best examples I can come up with is a character from one of my favorite movies. I don't know about any of you. I'm a big movie buff. Me and my husband both love movies. And one of my favorite movies is somewhat of an older movie. It came out in 1989, and it's called Do the Right Thing. Now, if you follow Spike Lee, if you know much about the director, Spike Lee, you know this was one of his earlier films and also one of his many consider one of his best films. He won critical acclaim for this movie. He was nominated for an Academy Award for I think best original screenplay for Do the Right Thing. But there was a character in Do the Right Thing, one of the main characters, played by none other than Spike Lee. If you follow Spike Lee's movies, you also know that he stars in most of his movies. Stars, directs, writes, you know, that whole thing. So he played this character, Mookie. That was his nickname. I don't remember his real name because everyone just called him Mookie. But Mookie was a pizza delivery guy, and he was pretty good at his job. Not great, though. Sometimes he goofed off. He was not the most responsible guy. He lived with his sister, and his sister was always getting after him for being more responsible. He had a baby mama. And of course, when you have a baby mama, that means you usually have a baby. So he had this baby. He had this baby mama who was his sometimes on and off again girlfriend. He didn't always spend a lot of time with his baby, so he wasn't necessarily the best father. Now, I'm telling you all that just to kind of flesh out this character, just in case you have never seen this movie. You may know exactly what I'm talking about. But Mookie was a pizza delivery guy, and all he cared about was his paycheck and getting paid. And he got paid $250 a week. And he wanted that $250 no matter what. Although sometimes he would goof off. Although sometimes when he was supposed to be delivering pizzas, he was over his girlfriend's house, or he was hanging out with the guys on the stoop. This movie took place in New York City one summer. But Mookie wanted his paycheck. That's all he cared about. He didn't really think ahead. He wasn't a planner. He didn't have a 5-year plan, a 1-year plan, certainly not a 10-year plan. He had a 1-week plan, and that was to get paid, get his $250 every week. Does that sound familiar? Sound like anyone you know? Well, this is the thing. That is an example of a paycheck mentality. For one, as I mentioned, Mookie did not think ahead. He didn't think beyond next week or maybe the next couple of weeks. So that is one aspect of having a paycheck mentality. You are not thinking ahead. You don't think beyond right now. And I'm all for living in the present. I do think we need to focus more on the here and now. But I'm also a big planner, and I find the most successful people and people who I look up to and who I admire, they are also planners. They're long-term planners. So you have to think beyond right now. Yes, you want to enjoy right now, but you should be planning ahead. You should be thinking ahead. That's what vision is all about. So with Mookie, there was no vision. He wasn't thinking about a legacy he wanted to leave. He wasn't really thinking about saving for his child's college education, and I think it was a son. Wasn't thinking about saving for his son's college education. No. He was about the paycheck. So that is something, that's a type of mentality, no vision, no long-term planning, that you certainly want to avoid. Now, something else with a paycheck mentality, Mookie was ignorant to how to make his money work for him. He knew he had to work for his money. Now, again, he didn't always work hard, but he worked enough to get that $250 per week. A wealth mentality, you find a way, maybe multiple ways, to have your money work for you. Your money should be working for you just as hard as you work for your money. All right, so a paycheck mentality is only concerned about working for the money. And obviously, we can only work so much. There's only so many hours in a day. So then you also have to look at ways to leverage your time. And that also speaks to having your money work for you. That's what investments are about. Whether it's stocks, whether it's bonds, whether it's real estate, whatever it is, you need to find something that generates money, generates income, and generates wealth. Because income is not the same as wealth. Income is pretty much a paycheck. Wealth is the culmination of paychecks. Wealth is assets. So you always want to think about and be focused on building wealth, not just income. And then you have to understand really what your most precious resources are. It's not money. It's not houses. It's not cars. We really have two resources that are, in my opinion, and others share this opinion as well, our two most precious resources is time and our ability to generate wealth. Time and our ability, our skill set, our talent, our gift, what allows us to generate wealth. And you have to think about how to protect that, how to decrease the risk in terms of your time and your ability. Disability insurance is something a lot of people overlook. But if you're only thinking, well, I'm going to get paid if I work, I don't need to worry about disability insurance, that's not going to happen to me. And if it does happen to me, it won't be that long. I'll get another job, or I'll just be down maybe a few weeks and I'll get another job, or I'll go back to work. Well, for one, it may not happen that way. Just ask some folks who have experienced long-term illnesses, longer than they expected, or they had a car accident or some other accident that left them disabled. And that can be a terrible thing, and it can have an awful impact on your income and ultimately your wealth if you are not able to generate income and there's nothing put aside to replace that income or to replace that time. So again, that also speaks to a paycheck mentality. You have to allow for things happening, the unexpected happening, because it does happen. So you really want to make sure that you are focused, that you know what you want in terms of finances, and have a strategy to get there. And I can assure you, having a paycheck mentality is not going to cut it. Now, I just want to make absolutely sure I don't miss anything here, because this is good stuff. The last thing I'll share with you in terms of a paycheck mentality, and we saw this in Do the Right Thing with Mookie and some of the other characters as well. They never learned from their mistakes. And anytime something happened that was difficult, that was tough, adversity, some of the characters, they would just dwell in that, or as my grandmother says, wallow in it. They would wallow in their discontent and in their trials and tribulations, instead of looking at the situation and seeing what they could learn from it and turn it around. And that is really something to apply to life in general. In particular, you want to apply that to your financial situation, to your mindset in terms of health and wealth. Because if you never learn from your mistakes or from your adversity, you're going to probably do the same thing. You're going to repeat those mistakes. And I touched on this in one of the earlier trainings, in one of the audios. In terms of finances, you know, if you go through a bankruptcy, if you lose your home, if you have a car repossessed, if you go through a really difficult, costly divorce, yes, all that stuff is very tough. It can even be traumatic, but it does not have to break you. It may knock you to your knees. You don't have to stay there. You absolutely do not have to stay there. For one, just remember, you're not alone. A lot of people have gone through bankruptcy. A lot of people have had their houses foreclosed. A lot of people have had cars repossessed. A lot of people have gone through divorces where they lost half or most of everything. That does not have to be the end of your story. So again, that whole paycheck mentality, just about now. I'm just concerned about right now. I don't have any vision. I don't really care. If ABC happens to me bad, then I cannot do anything about it. That's just what happens. That's what it's like being me. You cannot have that kind of mentality. Got it? Got it? Got it? All right, good. So hopefully you got what I'm talking about with that. And if not, I encourage you to rent the movie Do the Right Thing. Even if you've seen it before, it really is a great movie. I know it was a little controversial because it touches on different issues. It touches on race and class and gentrification and all of that stuff. So stuff that I don't mind talking about and observing and embracing, if you will. But overall, it is really a good movie, and there's several messages and lessons in that movie, and one of which is about avoiding a paycheck mentality. So don't be like Mookie. I know, don't you just love that name, Mookie? Don't be like Mookie. Don't have a paycheck mentality. Have a wealth mentality, a wealth building mentality. And especially if you have children, you want to leave your children something. You want to leave them a legacy, not debt, not heartache, not being a victim. Leave them a legacy. Again, this is Rachel Wilson Thibodeau. Want you to come on back. We are going to wrap up this module with the next training. So there is more great stuff to share with you. Take care.